Facebook and YouTube pages of the Office of the Prime Minister. I'm Sheena Harry, and I'm the host of the COVID-19 health discussion. And joining me this morning are guests in studio, the national epidemiologist, Dr. Shaluddin Ahmed, and of course, the coordinator of the health promotion unit, Mrs. Mignon Roll Shillingford. Good morning to our guests.
Hi, good morning, Sheena. It's always nice to be here on the nation station DBS, and of course, we're simulcasting to Carry FM today. So we just want you to listen, take the information, and we just want you to adhere to the information that we are giving you today.
Of course, there is a lot of information out there, a lot of updates, and we'd like to touch on quite a few of them, as many of them as possible. And of course, we'll give our listeners a little later on a chance to call in and get their concerns, dealt with, clarify anything that needs clarification, answer their questions. So just stay tuned to DBS Radio and Kyrie FM. We'll let you know when the lines are open. Again, as I said, a lot of updates going around. As we know, school was closed earlier this week. And right now, all public servants with comorbid or pre-existing conditions, underlying conditions, have been asked to stay home or go home. We also know that social gatherings are being restricted as well. No more than 10 people in any one place. As a matter of fact, we've observed that even on the buses as well, where certain government buildings restricted access and some services have been suspended. And we're seeing that commercial crafts can still come in, but as of Saturday, we will see that no passengers can come in or out of the country. We will expound on some of those things as we go through today's program. Let's begin first off with Dr. Ahmed. Dr. Ahmed, last night, we heard the report by the Honorable Prime Minister that the number of cases has increased here in Dominica to 7. Now, what I'm hearing on the ground is people are asking, how did we go from 1 to 7 in a matter of days?
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Harry. Sorry. Yes, actually, the additional cases came from contacts of those index case 1. So they were contact tracing was done, and we completed a list. And from the list of contacts that were requested to stay home, strict stay home, and monitor them, of them, 5 of them were confirmed as coronavirus. So these were from the same community and of the index case number 1.
Okay, so so that brings up about a major concern that everyone has with quarantine and people not adhering to the rules and regulations when they are asked to self-quarantine. So could we stress on that just a little bit more, Dr. Ahmed, Mrs. Shillingford?
Yes, actually, we should not be careless. I mean, these actions, either careless or you are outright madman. So please listen to the healthcare professionals that we are requesting to stay home. That's for your own good and for your family and for the rest of the community. So we want you to, when we tell you stay home, you need to listen to us and stay home. In order to really contain this situation, we do humbly request to stay home. If you are sick, any reason, of course, regardless if it's coronavirus or any other flu virus, please stay home and call your doctors or healthcare providers, and they will assist you along the way, whatever requires. So we do need your help, the public help, to contain this virus where we are seeing some cases.
Okay, so as Dr. Ahmed rightly said, we want you to stay home. And if you're asked to be quarantined, you must be a madman or woman to do otherwise. Okay, so I'm saying that direct. We have to speak to you truthfully and honestly. Dr. Ahmed, the national epidemiologist, has just said that the 5 additional cases came from someone who was from the first case. So that means we are having transmission, correct?
Sorry, correct. We have now second generation transmission.
Okay, so we are saying, my people, Dominicans, consider everyone and every object, every surface possible of carrying COVID-19. Okay, so the persons we are asking to quarantine because either your contact, the persons that we have comorbid conditions, who we identify as being most at risk, our older persons, we are asking you to stay home. Okay, we are asking you to stay home. If you do not go outside, if you do not mingle with the rest of the population, there's no need for you to become a contact. If you do not participate, if you do not engage persons who are on quarantine, they will be forced to stay in and quarantine. Okay, so please, this is very significant when it comes to self-quarantining. Of course, a policy development have been done that all clients coming in through the airports, and right now it's only the airports, our ports have been since closed, right, to commercial travel, that they will be quarantined for 14 days in a government facility. Right, Ms. Harry?
Very true. Again, the seaports are closed. So L'Express, Val Ferry, those kinds of vessels are not coming in. They're open yet for products, if we're importing products, goods and are coming in. However, the seaport is closed, the airport remains open, but that is till Saturday.
Yes.
After Saturday, there will be no travel to or from the Commonwealth of Dominica.
Correct.
Very well. Now, you spoke about quarantine, and we know that there are facilities, government facilities, specially dedicated for quarantine. A little more information about that, and for those coming in, what can they expect? And okay, so
Yes.
for instance, in Portsmouth at St. James House, there is quarantine facility, and we are taking there is action being taken that anybody coming in is taken directly to that facility. There is an announcement out indicating that if you come into the country, you will be taken directly to that facility by designated transportation, and then you will be spending 14 days at that facility. Now, let's talk, Dr. Ahmed.
Ms. Harry, just before you go further, we just want to say something else. These people that are being quarantined, we are asking them, they are being quarantined because we do not want them to have any contact with the outside public. So that means we do not want persons visiting the facilities. We do not want things coming in or things leaving the facilities. Okay? We do not want contact with these persons from outside. We also do not want grouping and gathering of the people. So it's not a block party at the quarantine services. So you are to be quarantined. You have your apartment or you have your rooms that you will be quarantining. You stay in your rooms unless you have to go out to do something. We do not want these people congregating in the yard and having a block party and pull up, because it's defeating the purpose. We want to tell you, work with us and we will work with you.
Let me just add to it. In the world, around the world, where there is COVID virus, quarantine place is much more severe and worse. You will not be, there is no if and but about it. They will be rough on you. They will pick you up from the street and put you in that quarantine without giving you any right to say anything else. So we are being humble to you all, to providing you the apartments. I mean, it's a livable apartments. It looks so nice and nicer than my apartment, by the way. But also they're providing the food, everything. We initially had 2 apartments. Now we have additional 2 apartments for passengers coming from outside of Dominica, and then the quarantine. So far we have accommodated about 86 people in that. And imagine that 86 people will stay 14 days. That's a lot of hotel cost. I mean, so But this is for the sake of these people of Dominica. We want to contain this situation. We need you to cooperate with us. We are providing as much as possible with the apartment, with any other amenities and facilities. So you just need to listen and stay there 14 days. I mean, if there is any other scenario better than that, we will also apply that as well. For example, testing those who require. So we are trying our best to make you or give you opportunities to make yourself isolated. If you are coming from outside, we request to stay in this quarantine place. It is needed. We need you to stay there. So far, we have seen these are imported cases, and the second generation transmission also from that imported case. So it is important that we quarantine all those are coming from outside.
All right. So, Dr. Ami, just a little more on the transmission because, there is still a lot of confusion about how the virus is transmitted. And we're hearing about it being airborne. We're hearing about different ways that it's transmitted. So, just to clarify and to pound that in, how is the coronavirus transmitted?
The coronavirus still remain. The main mode of transmission is respiratory droplet. Actually, I don't have the figure as to what percent, but the WHO report is most mode of transmission of this COVID virus mostly due to respiratory droplet. Now, when I say respiratory droplet, if I talk to somebody or if I have a chat with somebody and a person is as close to as let's say 1 feet from my face, there is every opportunity or chance that my moist spittle on the ear may stay and then subsequently maybe ingested through or inhaled through. So that's the only way that is airborne, that has been so-called been explained, can transmit that virus. Other than that, when we say airborne, WHO or scientists actually referring to in the medical setting. It's not really open in the ear that it is airborne. In terms of in medical setting, we do a lot of procedure in terms of intubation and other invasive procedure that may cause the aerosolization of the virus, and then it may be spread in the air. So in that sense, it is airborne. Other than that, it is not really airborne. So we still have to put that respiratory precaution. We still have to maintain hand washing, and most of the transmission, that's how is happening. I can bring back the story that happened in China when the index case was in a lowest floor, and then contact who became confirmed in 18 floors up of that building. The only communication he had that he used to go up that elevator. So that's the elevator is the means of that
Excellent.
Transmission. So if you do your hand washing and be mindful what you're touching, what you're doing, and be disciplined yourself, we can virtually eliminate, let's say, about 70 to 80% chance of you getting infected, right?
All right. So again, that's why we're encouraging the social distancing. Mrs. Shillingford, do you want to add a little more on that precautionary measure?
Of course, Sheena. So here you have it. The main mode of transmission is for droplets, and how these droplets get to surfaces, how this droplet gets to people. Somebody speaks, they cough without covering their mouth and their nose, and these droplets drops on surfaces. They may cough into their hands, without washing the hands after use of a tissue. They hold on to surfaces, rails, doors. They press elevator buttons, printers, computers, the bus handle, the money, and you Do not wash your hand. You handle those things and then you touch your points of entry. And we always say the points of entries are the eyes, the nose, and the mouth. And why they are, we call them these areas mucous membranes. The lining are very thin and they are moist. So they are receptible. They susceptibility to these viruses is very easy, unlike the skin, which has this barrier and it has to be broken for it to enter. Now, while we are talking about this droplets method and spread, I want to speak to the use of gloves because, we have been speaking about it, so often, and I have been going around the city, and seeing a lot of people using gloves. Dr. Amid, they're using gloves at the supermarkets, they're using gloves, some of the banks, they're using gloves. And this means that these people are not washing their hands at all. So what they are actually doing is that they are taking this bacteria, these germs, and transferring it to every object, every person, everything that they come in contact with. And we really want to condemn this behavior because, and even themselves, because the fact remains that studies have shown that we touch our face almost 300 times a day, and with this dirty gloved hand that you are not watching, of course you're touching your eyes, of course you're touching your nose, of course you're touching your mouth. You understand? So with the gloves, it's a false sense of security, and you're actually helping in spreading these bacteria and viruses and germs. Okay, so I'm telling you, yes, you listening to the program, there's no need for you to use gloves at work. We want you to wash your hands. How to wash your hands? With soap and water. When do I wash my hands? Before and entering the bathroom. Before and after caring for somebody who's sick. Before, during, and after you cook. If you sneeze, if you cough into your hands, wash your hands. And yes, we know sometimes there is not soap and water available. So we say you can use a hand sanitizer, but it has to be 90% and above, 70% and above alcohol. You do not use this alcohol sanitizer for the entire day. Okay, so what you do, you can use it up to 3 times. So once you apply, you did not wash your hand. Twice you apply and you did not wash your hands. 3, you apply. 4 is 2, water and soap, and have a proper hand wash. And why? Because of course we know these the sanitizers and so are a bit sticky. You feel them. So when you apply the first, then you apply again, then you touch surfaces. Of course, it can draw other viruses and bacteria to your hand. And then you're making a soup. Okay, so you're mixing up germs with sanitizer and you're putting it over and over. So this is why you must wash your hands. So remember, people, the gloves, it's a very dangerous form of protection. You think you're protecting people and yourself, but you're actually spreading viruses.
I just want to pound that on the same issue, that false sense of security here. See what is happening, that let's say a cashier sitting at or bank trailer, or someone is accepting the money. You have your gloves on you and then you cashing the money, and then you handing down the receipt to the customer. And with the same hand that you have dealt with how many customers in front of you, and then you handing down the receipt to him or her, you actually giving the virus or germ to him or her. Your hand is secured, right? Let's say your hand is secured, but how secure your face is? The same hand that you are thinking that your gloves, you're going to scratch your hand with the gloves on, you're going to touch your body with that same dirty gloves hand. In essence, you actually spreading the germ on the gloves. You thinking that your hand is clean, fine, your hand is clean, true, but that you're not that aware of that the gloves has a germ, and in essence, you actually passing on to yourself and passing on to others. Those who are writing with the gloves on, their pen is dirty because you are using that same gloves for many things, and then you're writing and putting that pen on your pocket, going to your home with this pen, and you didn't know why your children got sick. So be careful. If your hand is without the gloves, it will hit your brain that I need to wash my hand.
Exactly.
I did touch things. I did touch my money. I did touch door handles. So I need to sanitize myself. So this is important, that, as I said, false sense of hope. So or security. So you need to sanitize the way you do. Don't make yourself putting mask if it's not properly done. The air is coming through in and out of any, if it is not properly set on your face, that also no use. You actually virtually you can inhale the germ even mask is on yourself. And then how you handle the mask out of your face is also very very important. We the healthcare professionals, I'm sure they most of them know how to handle or doffing the any of those PPE. So this is important, not to just wear it and you don't know how to take it off, and then you contaminate yourself and others.
Okay, so since Dr. Ahmed just spoke in terms of masks, another observation is that I'm seeing people using scarf, right? They're using their scarves and they're covering their face, and then they're pulling it under their chin, and then they pull when they come to talk to someone, they're pulling it back over their face. For one, your scarf is just cloth material, so it doesn't have any protective seal for you in terms of any droplets. So, for instance, if you're in close proximity to someone less than 1 meter or 3 feet, the mask, the scarf won't do anything for you. Okay, so that's why we are saying that you should maintain social distancing. And one of the things in that we advise is that you should be at least 1 meter or 3 to 5 feet from every individual. The other thing is that when you take this scarf that can't absorb anything, it still goes directly through. You take it, and of course, if you wear it, the external part is already infected because you're touching your hand. With your hands, you're touching the mask. You take it and you pull it and you put it under your chin. And guess what? When you're doing the process to put it back to your face, it passes your mouth, it passes your nose to be placed back. So that means you are taking the infection to your mouth, to your nose, and then your eyes were already exposed. So we want to say for the person who must, and these are the people we really want using the surgical mask, the correct mask, are those with the signs and symptoms. So you're coughing and sneezing, you are the one will cough it into the atmosphere, onto the surfaces, into your hand. These are the ones we want to use the mask. Apart from that, when using a mask, it cannot be, I'm going to re-emphasize that it must be done where hand hygiene is significant, and also the placement, use, and removal of masks must be up to standard. Okay, Sheena, I think we have said a mouthful.
Definitely a lot of information, but a lot of valuable information. A lot of people say, y'all repeat the same things over and over again. Yes, we do, because still, even with the repetition, people aren't understanding what needs to be done. We know that the phone lines are going off the hook, so let's take our very first caller for the morning. Caller, good day.
Peace be unto you and yours, ma'am, and to your guests
Thank
here.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very interested program as always. But last week I called. I don't know if the same lady is there, but the two ladies, and I was speaking. When this year first started, I was on your beautiful island, and when they start to give out the information, they said that it was affecting the elderly and those with have challenges. And last week, I'm a person I love the elderly, because they paved the way for us, so we need to look after them. And I said to you all, when I was speaking, our Prime Minister was on the radio speaking, and I was asking the elderly to stay at home. And I said, I'm concerned about the elderly, and they are saying that the elderly should stay at home. But the lady said to me that they are not stopping the elderly from getting around. Now, you see how fast this thing now starts to spread like Wi-Fi? And sometimes only one person, because here in Barbados, one person sent it on to 9 people. She came in from America. Everybody's saying the same thing. You can't afford to test everybody because they don't have the money to buy the test kits. You're getting tested for the temperature. And she came in, went home, her husband, family, and I think family, friends, because she probably went by friends, she bought things for them, and 9. So that's why I was concerned about the elderly, but I was like shy away because I said that. And for me, I feel the elderly should stay at home. What I'm going to say, those there's people out there, don't try to unfair the elderly. If they need help, assist them. Don't try to take away the pension.
Yes.
Do what you have for them with care and love, because a lot of them might get exploited now that this thing happened. Not and I mean only to your country, but everywhere now, because the elderly now will be very vulnerable.
Yes.
So that is my take, but keep up the good work. You're all doing a good job. I really love Father Branca. I love Father Branca's song
Yes.
for the COVID. I love it. I send it to all the DJs in Barbados and to my friends. All right, thank you very much. God bless and be safe. Be safe, be safe, be safe.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so
Thank
much.
You, thank you very much. And while we are on the elderly, I just want to speak directly to them as well, and also to their family members. You know, we have been saying that every household should devise or come up with a plan to keep COVID-19 virus out of the home. So everybody should have a plan, just like you would have had a disaster plan for hurricane season. This is a disaster. Okay, so it's a health disaster. And we are asking that, you know, your families, all people, especially persons who have the older persons living with them, that they should have their family plan. One of the things that they need to implement within the plan, and everyone should be aware of it, is in terms of persons visiting. So for one, you should significantly restrict persons from visiting your homes. If it is a need, on a need basis, that somebody has to come, you should implement something that from the time they come through the door, you maintain that 1 meter or 3 feet, and you direct them directly to soap and water, through a bathroom, to have their hand washed. So that means that anything that they touch, you know, interact to, is not contaminated. The second thing is that you're going to maintain the 1 meter or 3 feet. So even when you have a discussion with them, you ensure that you maintain. If is in the case that you're coming from outside from work, I know it have a number of essential workers like myself, you know, if you're coming to the home, there should be a basket, a closed basket, so you can put your basket and put the plastic in there, that as you enter the house, that you remove all your clothing and drop it into that plastic and tie the bag. Okay, so that way you're not walking. Shoes is part of clothing, you understand? So you could leave the shoes outside, right? Step in and remove the clothing and put it into and seal the bag. You understand? So all clothing right now should be used only once. I know sometimes some people practice in terms of their trousers and stuff like that, that they may use it again. This cannot happen. Okay? So
I agree with you.
Okay, so you have to. The other thing is that to limit the need to have to go out for things like medications, because we want at this time that our older persons and our persons with comorbid conditions, that they have enough stock supply of their medications. Okay, medication can be in form of, well, in terms of therapies as well, because we can have a certain drink they may have to drink as opposed to tablet medication. So have at least an additional month supply. So you have your month and try to have at least another month. So now is the time. I mean, you should have done it already. It's not too late to try to get that additional month supply and have it there. We said it's a disaster period. Of course, we also had our disaster kit, where we put our dry foods, you know, and things like that. Our dry foods, our canned goods, our, you know, first aid kit, you know, all of that. This is also the time to have your disaster box. You know, have your disaster box. And if you do that, things are going to go okay. We need to flatten the curve. Correct?
Yes, correct. I just want to extend that protocol, the household protocol that Mrs. Shillingford just explained. It should go all household. I was speaking to some of the nurses in one of the health district, and I was advising now we should actually consider every patient coming to the health facility could be a potential. So I do suggested all our nurses and doctors that do the same procedure that Mrs. Shillingford just explained. For me, I do hose down for myself. No joke, I do. And then I keep my shoes outside, my socks outside, my shirts and pants folded inside out, and then package it in one and then dump it in my washing machine. And then I hose down myself with the soap and then go inside, take a hot shower. Well, this this will be strictly applied, or you should strictly
Strictly
apply
applied.
those who have chronic condition, and elderly folks in their home. Maintain the sterile environment for them at least for 6 weeks, please. At least for 6 weeks, and then we'll see the how scenario evolves or comes out. So, and as I said, extend to other household as well. Don't take it like carefree or careless way. Go inside. Anything that I use outside of my house, I do not carry it back without without sanitizing it. My key, my pen,
Cell
my
phone.
even bag, that a computer that I carry, that bag, all sanitized and then goes inside, and nobody touches it. It stays in one corner and comes out in the morning. Sorry.
Yes. So also that is, I have been executing that as well. So at home, when I return home, I remove my shoes. There is a plastic, a garbage bag in the bin that even I and myself and I, my husband and I, that we remove everything, we put it in the basket, and we tie that. Another thing that we have been doing, I have not seen my mother or my mother-in-law for the past 2 weeks because both of them are older persons. Okay, both of them are older persons. So yes, I miss them. Yes, I want to see them. But because of the work I do, and I traverse a number of areas that I do not want to put them at risk, and I've advised that they have to restrict visitors, so I haven't seen them. This is some things that we really need to do and really need to take on significantly.
And it seems like a tedious task, but what is the option? Everyone says, "What? No, Jay, I have to do all of that every time." Yes,
You have to,
because
yes.
what is the alternative here?
It's a war. So it's a war
Very
that
good.
we can't predict how it's going to turn out. So as a result, consider it for your health and for your older folks' health. Change your behavior. Change
Exactly.
our behavior.
Exactly.
If there was invasion by another countries with the bigger countries, and they're required to stay home or required to maintain infection prevention control, you will jump to it than dying,
Right.
get bullet by them, right? So why not do it now?
All right, let's go back to the phone lines. Caller, you're live. Good day.
Hello.
Yes, caller, go right ahead.
Yes, good morning to you and good morning to Doctor and Shirley Ford.
Good morning,
I
sir.
could say that
Good
you are
morning.
doing a very, very, very good job in terms of communicating the information. The information which you are disseminating is very, very much welcome. I'm certainly sure with everybody back home. Nurse, I find it sometimes a bit hard to understand why some human beings don't understand what social distancing means and how important it is to help cut or curb this thing. If we see 5 dogs, pit bull and probably Rottweiler let go in the community, in our area, every one of us running in our home and lock ourselves inside because we don't want to get bitten by the dog.
Correct.
If a gunman pass and he killed 5 people, bow, 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 and nobody can identify him, nobody know where he is, everybody is inside because they don't want to get killed. Now we have a thing like coronavirus, which is more serious, something that we can get through touching and probably talking and so on. People still don't understand that they have to stay away. I just don't understand it. And I need people to understand that if you just keep yourself home. If you have nothing to do outside, don't come out and get something, bring it for your wife and your kids. I mean, come on, we have to get very serious. Another thing is, I don't know if you talk about it, I told you a little late. And cell phones. Cell phones is something that we touch the most. Everybody loves the cell phone. So we might take our cell phone, have our cell phone, we might go touch something on the shelf or touch something in the house or somewhere, some railing or something, some doors or something. And we might hold our cell phone, and yes, we wash our hands. But when we wash our hands, we go back and touch the cell phone without disinfecting the cell phone. That, of course, comes back to your hand, and it is equal as you did not wash your hands.
Correct.
So
Correct.
people have to understand that you have to, after you wash your hands, you disinfect your cell phone and you wash your hands again.
Correct.
The infection control is something that people have to take very, very, very seriously. That is where I'm trained in. That is the thing that I'm training people in, is infection control. You have to be able to control any cross-contamination or anything that will take the sickness or the germs from you to somewhere or from somewhere to you. Disinfect, wash your hands, Monte Marie Joseph. I wish I could say it in Chinese.
Yeah.
I wish I could say it in all different language. Wash your hands every time you get the opportunity. In terms of the gloveness, what you mentioned, it is so correct. Dr. Amid, I must compliment you and your team, and nurse your team. I must say that you all are doing an excellent job in terms of disseminating information to the people of this country.
Thank you.
If everybody play their part, I can tell you, we will fix this problem. You have a good morning. Continue to do a good job. We out there, I'm in the UK, and you know the type of thing that they're having in the UK. It is very, very serious. My mem, it has over a month inside.
Okay,
Thank you,
very
sir.
good.
Protecting myself and others.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you, caller. All right, so like the caller is stressing exactly what we've been saying for the longest while. Accountability and responsibility. Those are two words that we've been stressing for a long time now, because everybody has to realize that they play a role in flattening the curve, as Mrs. Shillingford said. Flattening the curve is not just about what is being done by the government or the Ministry of Health or Dr. Ahmed. It's about your individual responsibility. When you're asking, what is the government doing and they're not doing, then ask yourself, what am I doing as an individual to curb the spread?
Yes, and
My-
I just want to say, I'm very happy that the caller as I identify the work that the healthcare professionals have been doing. I've been in this time. Of course, it's overwhelming for us. It's a hard time. A lot of additional work to be done. A lot of additional contacts to be traced and additional information and education. And we really want that when we do those things, those of you who hear, share the information. I mean, a lot of times we share information that is so negative and that is fake, and a lot of times we know they are fake, and we do not choose who we send them to. We just send them to everybody. We make a broadcast and we just send it across to everybody. We do not even try to internalize it and see if it's something that maybe be false or what impact it may have on a particular individual. All of us are not as strong, or knowledgeable as others, So I'm empowering the public, to spread information that is correct and information of hope, Tell people what to do, spread that. What should I do? How should I deal with my home situation in terms of quarantine? What food should I get to eat? Spread the positive vibes that can really have a positive effect. And while I'm saying that, I just want to shout out to all the nurses, the doctors. I mean, the nurses are the frontliners. This year was dubbed the Year of the Nurse and Midwife. And when this happened by WHO and PAHO, I didn't expect that is the type of the Year of the Nurse and Midwife that we'll be getting. I thought that we would be able to observe and celebrate, the work that nurses have done, in the world, today. But we are seeing them at frontline right now. We are actually seeing even more so the significance, of this largest group of healthcare workers. And today I want to say to them, hold on strong. It is a hard time, but still take the opportunity to try to rest. We want you to eat properly. We want to build your immunity. Okay, so we want you to eat. That is for everybody, but I really want you to talk to our healthcare professionals. And because I am a nurse by my profession, of course, and also the president of the Dominican Nurses Association, I really want to talk to my nurses, and tell them, I'm with you, and let's work together. Let's keep strong. Let's support each other, and get the information, the correct information. Share the love, share positive vibes, things that we can really do, and we are there with you, So all of the health workers, I just saying, thank you. I think it is going to get worse before it gets better. You understand? And I pray, God forbid, that any of our healthcare professionals get infected with COVID-19.
All right, we have lots more callers on the line. Let's take our next caller. Caller, good day.
Hi, good morning.
Yes, good morning, caller. Go right ahead.
Thank you so much for all the information that you guys have put out here for us. But there's something I want to understand. I've been seeing things going around on social media stating that at the places in Picard where the people are held quarantine, they are not eating, there's no food, and et cetera, et cetera. I just want to know, let the public know what is really true, what is, because I believe, like I was saying to myself, like you all are coming to our country, all we're not the only persons in the world that this is a crisis, and many Dominicans get to understand that would be the better for us. You come into Dominica, it's a crisis, you come empty-handed. Or I'm asking myself, if people are coming in empty-handed, forgetting that, when we come to, things have to be put in place. You all have to be organized. You all have to be placed. I just want to know what is really going on, because it's a lot of things being placed on social media.
And that's what I was just speaking about, in terms of the negative information that is circulating. This situation is new. Let's look at that. This situation is new. And then things will happen that we may not plan for. We cannot say that the plan is solid, totally solid, and it is 100% excellent. Okay? So that means we'll identify gaps along the way. Of course, we are making housing available, and maybe the first set of people entering or the first department being opened may not have been tip-top. But I assure you that these people will be cared for properly. They will be given their free meals, and they will be in the most comfortable place as possible. Okay, so there may be glitches, and of course, is identifying them and dealing with it. Okay, so we cannot say things are perfect. We know some things have been happening, but we know also that people are posting and sharing those things to make it even look worse than it actually is. So let's not stop that. All of us are in it together. We need to hold strong. We need to support. That's the only way we can beat this. Not by just lambasting and talking about all what is not working in a negative or derogatory way. You understand? It will not be perfect from the get-go. There will be gaps, but the most significant thing is that we will address them and work and get them to a better level.
We have another caller on the line. Caller, good day. Go ahead, caller. Good day. Go ahead.
Hi.
Hello.
Morning, Slingford.
Good morning, my dear.
I'm listening to you attentively. Okay, I'm Dr. Hamid. Okay?
Thank you.
All I'm saying, they are not going to a five-star hotel, so don't expect that treatment. We'll get things in place. But just keep in mind that your friends and your family are not going to a five-star hotel. And if you do not want to be quarantined, don't come to Dominica.
Exactly.
Do not come. Stay where you are, because you will be quarantined. So if you do not want that to be quarantined, stay. And nursing what? When these people do not stay where they have to stay when they're quarantined, arrest them. Put them in stock.
We just need little more understanding from them.
Because they're taking it as a joke. I'm listening to you. I've heard the training, the warning, everything. I'm there with you. And you take care of yourself.
Thank you.
Stay strong.
Thank
You
you.
are
Thank you.
the doctor and your nurses.
Yes.
Okay?
Thank you
Stay
very much.
strong.
Father.
I know the job is, overwhelming, but be strong.
Is.
And I'm telling, since you spoke last week about the clothes at the door, I'm doing it honestly. I'm doing it in not a laughing matter. Yeah, it's all these things. You have to sometimes laugh, but this is not a joke. I take my clothes off. I do not wear it twice. Okay? I am with you.
Thank you very much.
And have
Thank
a
you.
good day and stay safe, please. Thank you.
Okay. This caller happened to be one of the persons that we trained recently,
Oh,
and spoke to.
excellent.
She was expressing how, since she have gotten the information, how her behavior have changed in terms of reduction
Prevention,
measures.
right? Thank
In
you.
terms, so thank you very much, caller, and thank you for the support. And I still want to go back to our healthcare professionals and let people realize, because it's overwhelming. Sometimes they may not maybe do something perfectly. They may not speak, properly. I mean, not that I'm saying that, oh, because of the situation they must, but it's
It's a
stressful.
human thing. It's a
Yes,
human. All
it's
right.
stressful,
Right.
and sometimes they may not get it right the first time, and they may have to improve on it. So work with us, just help us, help us get there. It's all of us. It's a all of government, all of local agency, all of community approach.
All right, thank you so much, caller. Thank you, Mrs. Shillingford. Let's take another caller right away. Caller, you're live. Go ahead.
Yes, I'm calling back again. None.
Hello, did we lose that
Okay,
call?
it appears we lost that caller. Of course, the phone number is 1-800 327 448 3284, 616 1327, and the overseas line 305 432 9744. I'd just like to mention to the public that Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit will be making an announcement at 12:30 this afternoon. You're invited to stay tuned right here to DBS Radio for live coverage of that announcement by the Prime Minister. Now, Mrs. Shillingford, a hotline has been put in place for people to call. And could you again remind the general public of the numbers and what the hotline is used for?
Okay, so the hotline numbers are 448-2151, 448-2151, 448-2156, 448-2156, 448-2153, 448-2153, toll free number 1-800-219, 1-800-219, and 611-4325. And of course, I also want to tell the public, of course, the numbers have been, the calls to this number has increased significantly. Of course, the dynamics of this COVID-19 virus in Dominica has changed. It's now it's an outbreak. We are at phase 3. Right, and I know Dr. Amit might speak to that a little more. So, of course, the number, of course, yes, we want you to keep on calling and giving us the information. Yes, sometimes you may call and the line maybe not be available, because there are numerous persons calling, but continue to call anyway. We have been getting hundreds of calls. Yes, we have been getting hundreds of calls, and we still want you to continue to call. What do I call the hotline for? If you're experiencing signs and symptoms of fever, sore throat, cough, shortness of breath, call the hotline. Okay, so we can direct you, we can take your information and pass it on to our district teams so someone could call or come to you. If you know of anyone coming in, their travel history, they tell you they're coming down and they'll be by you, give us that information. Although we are monitoring the flight manifest, but just in case someone escapes, that is good. Let us know so we can, of course, track and know who we are expecting. Let us know if persons are breaking the quarantine protocols. Okay, and I think I really want to say to the public, you all have been doing an excellent job thus far in reporting those things. Okay, I am telling you the truth. Calls concerning persons defaulters of quarantine has increased 100-fold, 100%. Okay, so we are getting those calls. We want to continue to do that so we can monitor those people. But also, in just to the sidetrack, we also want you to stay away from them. Don't invite them to your homes. Don't take them anywhere. Don't drink with them. Don't pull up on the block with them. If you don't do that, they are forced to stay inside. Okay? What we do not want you also want you to call to tell us if you have a particular concern. You're not sure. Okay, about something, you're feeling a sign. It may be your stomach, but it may be associated with your throat or you're not sure. You can call us and then we will work that out. What we do not want you to call to do is to find out if the hotline working. It's working. I just said we have had hundreds of callers. It's working. Don't call and complain to us. I hope healthcare professionals have all the tissue and have all the gloves and because what you are doing, I mean, understand this, right? The hotline operators are not the ones responsible for providing supplies, to the different. And I know the administration is trying their best to ensure that our healthcare workers, remain safe, because if anything happened to them, who's going to continue to take care of us?
I mean, that matter can be passed on to up the ladder of their supervisor and others. I mean, it don't need to come through the hotlines to make engage or busy when there's other emergency in the community level, right?
Another thing that is happening, I mean, sometimes we have to understand, while some persons may call to say of a particular case, a particular person who may be experiencing signs and symptoms, the district teams are dealing with multiple contacts, multiple cases. So it does not mean that if you call now, that the team will get to you now. Okay? There may be 5 other persons that they need to get to at the time. Remember, the nurses and the doctors, we have a certain pool, and we do not have more until we get the assistance we know that we are getting from Thursday from Cuba, right, doctor?
Yes.
So yes, so think of that, because yesterday, and I want to share that, for one particular person call that we got about 35 additional calling about that same person. And during that time, the team was already looking for the person, on the alert and everything. Now, these 35 calls that came in about that one person prevented 35 other calls of persons who were calling for the first time to say something is happening to them. I mean, we have to be careful. We have to be careful with those types of things. And I know yesterday persons were saying that they were calling and didn't get through, but the line, and that was just for one client. We had another situation, another 15 calls came for another one client. You understand me? So I'm not saying that you should not call about your relative, or if you're a friend, they are telling you that they call. But the situation was already being addressed, and the hotline was bombarded with the same persons calling the same things, and other persons were having difficulty in getting in. Okay, I just want to put that out there.
All right. Thank you so much, Mrs. Shillingford. Of course, a reminder that the Prime Minister will be making an announcement at 12:30, and of course, since we're simulcasting on Kyrie FM, you can tune into DBS Radio and Kyrie FM for that announcement. 12:30, the Honorable Prime Minister will be making an announcement. Let's get back to the phone lines. Caller, good day. Go ahead. Go ahead, caller. You're live. Caller. Okay, it seems that caller is not ready for us yet. So just a reminder that we will continue our COVID-19 health discussions. They continue Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on DBS Radio, Kyrie FM, and of course on the Facebook and YouTube pages of the Office of the Prime Minister. We begin at 11 o'clock. Yes, caller, go ahead.
Guys, I just want to reiterate, some of the measures that some of the private sector have taken. I mean, if you look at Afghans, for example, I mean, they're definitely enforcing social distancing. I mean, right now they have the Astra kits that you can call and have delivered or WhatsApp to or email. I think that's a fantastic move, and for everyone to just stay home and be calm and practice social distancing as much as possible.
Very good.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so we are hoping that some of our other businesses, have put in their own plans. So it's not about home plans. It's about your business plan, the corporate businesses. You have to put in plans in terms of your workers, how they're going to work, if they're going to operate from their homes, So all of this. So I am happy, with some of the things. Some businesses already have taken the lead, in establishing that social distancing, and have came up with some good strategies as to how that can be enabled.
Yeah, it is very important. It's very important to flatten the curve. That's where the number or figure should come, or figure really can flatten these things. Let me just switch that thing. Let's say we don't do any of these measures. No hand washing, no infection prevention, and we are free to do anything, and at the same time, let's say we close the school, churches, and close down the border, all this, I can guarantee you 200% you will be infected, and you'll infect every single of them. those who did the measure, they still got the virus, right? They still got the virus. That's the reality. So the main flattening of the curve is actually lies within us. So we have to maintain and manage, do this infection control, the hand washing, respiratory etiquette, social distancing. If you're sick, stay home and call from home. These are the way, even the business places, the way they put the measure, this will minimize or slow down the virus. That's what is called the social, called the flattening of the curve. And flattening of the curve will help the health system to absorb the pressure that coming towards them. So it's important that so all lies, it's our responsibilities to really do what we need to do to flatten the curve.
You have a caller?
All right, let's get back to the phone lines. Caller, good day. Go ahead, caller. You're live.
Yes, I'm calling to say about clustering. Although all over the world, and you see in pictures, you still see people clustering. And I wanted to say that when you're trying your best, but still, those other countries who have all the resources and they are having crisis, the small countries. We are going to have the same because we are not as big as them. So our people shouldn't be criticizing because we are trying, and we are not powers like the others. So that is what I wanted to say just now. But the clustering, although they're asking them not to cluster everybody, still people still in. But for me, I taking it as though the tallest when is first start treat everybody as a victim. Thank you very much.
Okay. So I just want to reiterate, some of the preventative measures in terms of transfer of these viruses. Of course, we talk about hand hygiene, washing the hands, and not just washing it, but washing it properly with soap and water. We talk about in the absence of soap and water, you can use the hand sanitizer 3 times, but then after that, you must wash your hands. Let's talk about coughing. When you cough, when you sneeze into the tissue, this is the proven fact, the best practice, and ensure that your mouth and your nose are properly covered. When you sneeze into the tissue and then you discard in a closed bin. If you're on a bus or somewhere like that, you are coughing and sneezing, you walk with a little Ziploc bag or plastic, you put it in it and you close it. After coughing and sneezing, you must wash your hands. If you do not have the water, if you're on the bus, you use your alcohol-based hand sanitizer, and you clean your hand. Let's talk about cleaning of surfaces, doorknobs, telephones, pens, pencils, everything that we touch all the time. You need to clean them. What do we use? You can use bleach. Bleach is very cheap. All of us use bleach. What amount you can use to about a gallon of water to about 10 ounces or so, which is about 250 to 300 mils of bleach. Okay, so it's not Clorox, but bleach. Any of the bleach is cheap. You can use it. We have used it before, many years to clean. You can also use alcohol-based sanitizers or alcohol, and it has to be 70% and above. Yes, also this Lysol, those of you can afford to get the Lysol, it has the wipes, it has the spray, it has the liquid, yes. Okay, you can use the Lysol. So these are the ones. I know a lot of persons are coming up with other things. We will not approve them unless from our recommended sources like WHO, PAHO, CAFA. These are the persons we depend on to give us information in terms of cleaning agent. So these are the free agents that we are promoting now. We want you to eat properly. We want you to boost your immunity. We want you to eat your vitamins and minerals. The minerals in terms of vitamin D, you get that from the sun. C, E, from the dark leafy vegetables. We're not telling you asparagus and broccoli, but the normal ones, your cucumbers, when you cut them, leave some of
local.
the
There are
skin.
plenty local.
Of course, leave some of the skin, your lettuce, your kale,
tomato,
your spinach. In terms of vegetables, tomatoes, your fruits,
right.
Grapefruits are coming in. These are high in citrus. You understand? We want you to, because they will boost your immunity. We want you to eat things like probiotics, which is responsible for the gut health. So it builds the immunity for the gut. So what you take in through your mouth, we know already some yogurts have these probiotics.
Yes.
Okay, you can actually see it displayed on the outside of the yogurt container. Not all yogurts have them. Look at the yogurt properly. There are some tea. I just found the tea. I think it's as one of our our supermarkets that is a lemon and ginger with probiotics. You understand? So it builds your gut. We want you to keep hydrated. So water has always been important and significant. You understand? We want you to drink at least 8 glasses of water per day. You do not necessarily have to drink it one time. Hold your bottle, keep refilling it, and throughout the day, keep you hydrated. What does this water and hydration does? If we are dehydrated, our mucous membranes, which we talk about, that are the pots of these viruses, like the nasal passage, can cause form little cracks. You understand, with the dryness. So that means if you have these cracks, then it's easier for the virus to enter your body. So we want you to keep hydrated. Another thing that the water does, hydration does, it loosens secretions. Okay?
Yes, it's
So
very important. Right?
yes, so it liquefies secretion. So if you have the flu, if you get COVID-19, when we are already hearing that some of thick mucus collects, on these passages, then you want to be well hydrated so they can be loosened, so you can cough it up and be expelled. We want you to rest. Rest is important. Rest is important. A tired body is your immune system is decreased. A lot of the times when you are tired, we are susceptible to all types of things. So it is important that we rest. I need some rest all now. I'm Dr. Amid, and I think I'm going to have to take some very soon, because rest is, very important and significant. And I too, have to protect myself. We want you to limit alcohol. Alcohol suppresses the immunity as well. The recommended is 1 drink for a female and 2. So 1 beer for a female, 2 beers for a male, 1 8-ounce glass of wine for a female.
None for me.
And none for, okay, and 2 for a man. Okay, so that is the recommended per day. Alcohol also suppresses your immunity. The other thing it does, you will eat that good healthy meal with all your vitamins and minerals and your protein and all of that. But you drink the alcohol and it will prevent the absorption of the foods that you just ate. Right, Kimara? Like Mrs. Harry? Okay, so we don't want you, Miss Harry, we don't want you to marry you to yourself. We don't want you to, to drink, consume in this time. So we want you to rest. Persons with comorbid conditions, you are diabetic, you have hypertension, or asthmatics. Yes, I am an asthmatic as well. Ensure that you have your puff. Your Ventolin puff, ensure you have your medications, everything you need, protect yourself, stay in, diabetics, make sure you have your diabetic medications, make sure you're eating properly, and in terms of your fruits and vegetables, we prefer you take it as the fruit and not make it into juice. Because
fresh fruit and fresh vegetable.
Fresh fruit and
That's the best, not canned food or processed one. Please.
Yes, we do not want you to make the juice where you have the complex sugar that not easily broken down within your body. Directly from the fruit, the ability for the body to break it down and digest it is easier without raising your blood sugars. Okay, with this juice in the box, and when you add the juice, you don't know what concentration of sugar you are putting. So you're saying, why I drinking my fruit juice, but the sugar concentration higher than what's in the box. Okay, and these are complex. Do we have a caller on the line?
We have several callers on the line. Caller, go ahead.
Yes, seriously, I'm a little disappointed. I mean, you're speaking to us who are at home, in your vehicles, at the office. I'm saying the calls are coming in because people want to make a contribution. I'm not against you repeating and keep on informing us and whatever. But at least when the calls are coming, please, at least take a little break and take a call because we are listening. Anyway, what I'm trying to say now, we talk about not more than 10 in certain areas. Now, even one area where the people say the passengers are no more than 10 on a vehicle. You have some areas that are far, and people are not going to go up with just 10 people on a vehicle in a far distance. Are you all meeting with them? Even if it means going to the bus stops areas. Have you all done that to meet with the bus drivers and maybe with the passengers that are wrong to educate them and to speak to them? Now, it's true you all say you all put people in quarantine. Now, you all say that you all are monitoring. Maybe the neighbor doesn't know that you all are monitoring. But then I guess you all know how to monitor and stuff like that. But maybe the neighbor needs to know something that she can maybe call or inform you all, well, look, John is out roaming, when he's not supposed to be roaming, because maybe the family members may not call because they don't want to lose their John. So I'm saying, are you all going as far as that or whatever? Now I'm hearing as well that people are still in the pipeheads in Roseau. I mean, that is just absurd, and anybody found or caught doing that should be put away for a very long time. And that shouldn't be happening. And I also understood that there are prank calls. I'm saying this is so sad at this stage in our situation that we're having, for people to tell me you're doing that. It's rather hurtful. I don't know if government would have to intervene where we can trace numbers, although people change their numbers so ever often because they might be using a cell phone. And what can be done about that? I think you all need to step up, because we have to be ahead of these sort of situations where people because you're taking a vehicle, you're taking people to go to a particular area just to find out you're forming the fall. I mean, it's just pure nonsense. Anyway, take care and continue to do the good job that you all are doing.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
All right, we're going to take a few more calls because we have to wrap up. As I mentioned earlier, the Prime Minister will be making an announcement at 12:30 live on DBS Radio and Kyrie FM, and of course on his Facebook and YouTube pages. So just a couple more calls before we wrap things up. Caller, you're on the line.
Hello, good day.
Yes, go ahead, caller.
Yes, I need some information about dental clinics around Dominica, especially the Rosa Clinic, please. Because with the situation, we need to know what to do. We have toothache and we need extraction. Thank you. Good program.
Thank you. You're welcome. Of course, in terms of the different health centers, there have been a scaling down of non-emergencies at the at all of the health centers to include dental services. So of course we said non-emergencies. So by the same process, you normally contact your dental department. In the case of extraction, yes, you can call your district team, your dental department, and find out, and they can advise you what should be done.
All right, thank you, caller. We have another caller on the line. Go ahead.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead, caller. You're live.
Yeah, hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm listening to you all, and I want to compliment you all on the work that you all are doing. Miggy, my dear Miggy, you are so good. You are articulate, and the rest of you all, doctor and whoever else is there.
Thank you.
That's very good. I need to ask a question. If I go out, when I come in, I leave my shoes and my bag in the sun for almost the whole day. Can that help?
Yes, good job.
Virus on them.
Very much so.
Okay. And I shower one time. I put away so even if I go out 2-3 times, I shower 2-3 times in hot water and soap.
You cannot go wrong doing that.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yeah, okay, very good. So thank you very, very much for what you all are doing. I appreciate it, and I just pray that everybody will just listen and follow. And I pray for you all, because I know it's not easy in the front line.
Yes, it's not.
And I wish everybody. Yesterday, I went into a store. On my way out, a lady entered the store. And the gentleman said, the watchman said to her that you need to sanitize. And she said, no, my hands are clean, I just cleaned my hands and what, and she continued walking. Maybe you'll be surprised it was a nurse. So this gentleman said, a big nurse like you, and that's how you behaving. And she opened her bag and she said, yes, a big nurse like me, I have my hand sanitizer. I was so surprised. And I'm not saying her hands were not clean, but at least just to be an example. Because when I get out of my vehicle before I enter a store, I normally sanitize my hand. But when I get into the store and they offer me, sometimes I say, please put in both hands.
Yes. Okay.
So I was really disappointed in the nurse behaving like that. And as I said, I'm not saying her hands were not clean, but the behavior wasn't good at all.
Okay, thank you very
So
thank
maybe
you.
you need to talk to your nurses on that, because it was nice. Everybody was in shock that she could have, and people knew who she was. I know her, and I know she's a nurse. I don't know her name, and I don't want to know her name. And it's not as if I'm reporting her either. I'm just commenting on it.
Okay, thank you very much for giving us this information.
Yes, thank you so much,
take
caller.
a
I
note.
know a lot of people would like to call in and ask questions, and of course, we're running out of time this afternoon. So tune in again on Friday for another edition of the program. But because of the announcement coming up by the Prime Minister at 12:30, we're gonna have to wrap up. Dr. Ahmed, any final remarks?
Yes, my final remarks is as much as Ministry of Health and then healthcare workers doing their best, they're actually pushing the bar of the capacity much higher. If it is not double, it's much higher. I also urge the Dominican people do the same. You can do it. You have the capacity. Just need to push little higher than what we usually do, and then we should be all right. It cannot be business as usual.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Ahmed and Mrs. Shillingford.
I just want to say that just continue to do your best. Just continue to support us, the government of Dominica, and by extension the Ministry of Health. We say it's a whole of community, government, approach, and that's the only way we can beat this. And if I'm overly passionate about this, is because I just want everybody to get the information, get it right. Some persons are saying that they do not know, and we need to increase the information out there, So if I spoke plenty today, is because I wanted the information to get out there. I wanted the listeners to understand, and that's just it. Maybe I said some words too that didn't go in place, but we just want to say that, it's because we are passionate about this. We want everybody to get the information. So thank you, listeners, and thanks for the callers for calling.
All right, so thank you to everybody. Once again, we will be on Friday, barring any unforeseen circumstances at 11 o'clock. I would like to thank our panelists, Dr. Shaladin Ahmed, who is the National Epidemiologist, and
Thank
Mrs.
you.
Mignon Rule Shillingford, who is the Coordinator of the Health Promotion Unit within the Ministry of Health. Again, the Prime Minister coming up at 12:30 with an announcement that will be carried live on DBS Radio and Kyrie FM, and of course on the Facebook and YouTube pages. Again, thank you for tuning in to the COVID-19 health discussion. Tune in again on Friday.
For all the fun and serious updates, information on Dominica, live radio streaming from DBS, and more, log on to www.dbcradio.net. DBS, the nation station.
20 seconds is adequate amount of time to rinse off the soap from your hands. So with 20 seconds, that should do a pretty good job. If at all you're using a sanitizer, preferably with 70% alcohol, isopropyl alcohol. So that does an excellent job as well. If you